Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. The blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media signing, black in and shining again, asking you to hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. This being said, I understand when men believe that money is everything, especially with these women. That makes perfect sense logically for them to think so. And I can't blame this on the men either. Now, I know that a lot of these self-improvement guys, especially the one who just recently did a video on this very subject, would say, see, there you go, you're not a man, you can't take accountability. As a man, I only take accountability for things that are within my control and within my knowledge. And I've advocated for this for a long time because black people have been conditioned to accept guilt for things they didn't do. And now we're dealing with a scenario in which black men are being conditioned by other black men to accept guilt for things they didn't have control over, didn't do, and didn't even know about. That's a low psychological blow, but it is our job as men to be immune to this. Then again, hell, according to these guys, it's our job as men to be immune to everything. And let me just go ahead and get right past this point anyway. Men in general, especially in the West, are given the impression that money is everything because the women give us the impression. Now, in other parts of the world, there are women who do give that impression and there are women who don't. It depends, but people learn to get along without money. And you may have large portions of their population that are not just not rich, but also poor. And so they realize it's a stupid thing to sit up here and say, well, you can only get married if you're rich, because then there'd be 3 people on the whole country. We can't have that. So I'm going to say it like this. This is another thing for which we men cannot take the blame for thinking when you don't have a lot of money. Because there's no way you can know it until you get a lot of money, then find out that she's going to disobey you and defy you even, not just have her own mind. I'm not talking about that, but outright disobey and defy you, would not listen to you. You got to get the money to find out she'll still do it. I found this out the hard way. Other men find this out the hard way. And that's why when I hear stuff about financial self-improvement, I'm not against it, but I don't fully understand investments, so I don't really give myself a headache over it because, frankly, money gets up and runs away from most people anyway. Money, by definition, can't be abundant, or else it would no longer be money. Or, worst case scenario, it will be a nearly worthless currency, inflated. And it would take $1 million to buy a loaf of bread, like what happened in Zimbabwe. We can't afford that. So when you get the money, then it's something else. And then when you get that something else, then it's something else. And that points to this. Angry Man said this almost 2 years ago. Maybe it was over 2 years ago. He said, black women specifically are judging you by whatever the hell you don't have, black man. If you have swag and you don't have money, they're going to get on you about the money. If you got money and you don't have the swag, they're going to get on you about the swag. If you got the money and swag but not the muscles, they get on you about the muscles. Whatever you are missing, they're going to get on you about. I think it's Western women too, but of course sisters are going to be more vocal about it. Now, if you're going to be judged by whatever the hell you don't have, you might as well leave and go somewhere where they're not trained to do this. And why is this important? Well, see, right now, these places still exist. These cultures still exist. These options still exist. But some of these women need some men. They may need more men so that they can be rewarded for the good behaviors that they would bring to the table. In the West, they're not going to bring the good behaviors to the table, and they're still going to demand the rewards. You can't stay there if you're trying to start a family. You can go other places where these options still do exist. Because yes, women and men are important to each other naturally. God made it so. It's just that this mutual attraction is not necessarily something that men have abused as a whole in the West or the East. Whereas in the East, the men and the women, or I should say just outside the West, it's a mixed bag. The men and the women have come in all kinds. Those who abuse it, those who don't. Those who sometimes do and usually don't. It's a mixed bag. Whereas in the West, it's pretty much one thing. The men are mixed, the women are not. They abuse this natural attraction between men and women. They abuse it. trying to get in abundance that which God has already made very rare. Failing to understand that if they got what they want, the things they want would no longer be valuable anymore on a personal level and on a societal level. You got to leave. Reward these good behaviors in other women outside the West. Because if their good behaviors aren't rewarded enough, that's going to be ammunition for the women in the West that we need to leave behind to start going to these chat rooms and start telling these other women, especially with Google Translate being available, and telling them in their own languages that they need to revolt against men and men are never enough and punch them in the mouth and all this stuff, that they need to do these things. That's what they're going to start doing, and they're going to have ammunition. And so the Western woman that is bitter because she ain't got no man, not for very long, because she's driving them off when she can get them, is going to then turn the non-Western woman who just happens to be single into a bitter version of herself. And then the same thing will happen over there. We don't need that. We're here to use what we have to keep a good paradigm and a good option available in certain parts of the world. It's already ruined where we are. That being said, on a side note, I'm going to finish by telling you all something about this ProBlack Movement. And I want to point this out to you all. I am not like these on-crack pro-wax I've decried, but I'm not going to say that trying to make some idiots happy on certain channels that don't read, don't listen, and then still have judgments to make. I am saying that for this reason. The old school platform to which I subscribed exists, but not the movement anymore. The people that made up that movement are now retired or dying or dead. That's where they are. They got grandkids and they got to help their kids raise these grandkids in this bad economy. They can't be a part of this anymore without neglecting their families. And many of them are saying, I'm not going to neglect my grandkids like I had to neglect my kids sometimes. I'm not doing this, trying to save a bunch of niggas that don't want to be saved. The movement is over. The platform exists. I mean, my moral understanding still exists, even among a few other people, although I didn't meet many my own age. But no, the movement, I already know. And nobody has to come and tell me that the movement is over. Just because I still have the platform per se, doesn't mean that I'm stupid enough to think the movement continues. The movement's been hijacked and turned into another movement altogether. Yes, I do think that Omar has a good understanding of what's going on, but that's a lot of people, and we can't follow behind him. I do also think that many other people have a good understanding of what's going on. But then because they seem to be right about everything else, they're going to slip one thing in there that it can't possibly be true. Farrakhan being among them. Good political understanding. Because of that, people are going to think, oh, well, his theology must be sound too. No, it's not. And there is no major spaceship in orbit with super black Negroes in there with fighter jets and their own air force like similar to those aliens on Independence Day. No, it's not like that. And that's why I say the movement's over. It's done with. The only movement now is going to be when black people literally move. And I mean, actually, it's going to be when black men literally move. There will be women that can come with us. They're good enough for it. Some of you will know them individually, and they'll come with you anyway. You won't even have to tell them, but there are going to be others. That most of them are not going to be good enough to go with us when we do move. And they're not going to want to go anyway, because you're not going to a first world nation that's expensive as shit and has feminist laws like what the U.S. and Canada and England are getting. So you're not going there. That will weed them out. That's going to be what it takes. In terms of movement, an actual movement, there's no more of this pro-black movement like what we tried to have before. It's been ruined, and it's going to get ruined again. If it starts up again, it'll get ruined again. It's always going to be what we see it degenerate into, until we fit the guck out and go somewhere else, somewheres else. Nothing else is going to help us now. I hope that this has been a benefit. Thanks for listening. Fortunately, I was able to keep this under, 12 and even 40 minutes. Appreciate your patience. Assalamu alaikum. And black heterosexual male power, specifically because they don't like it. Black heart, black mind, black out.